the Affordable Care Act, health care reform, also known as Obamacare. By the way, you know what? Let me tell you, I have no problem with folks saying Obama cares. I do care. If the other side wants to be the folks who don't care, that's fine with me.
And now it's time for Bidenomics.
With what the press is now called Bidenomics. I don't know what the hell that is. But it's working.
Obamacare started as a negative term invented by Republicans until President Obama and Democrats embraced the term to take credit for providing health insurance for millions of people. Bidenomics was first used by the Wall Street Journal in a criticism of President Biden's economic policies, and now it is being embraced by President Biden. Today, President Biden tweeted, Bidenomics is working. The unemployment rate has been under 4% for 16 months in a row. The last time our nation had such a long stretch of low unemployment was in the 1960s. And here's what President Biden said in Chicago today.
Guess what? Bidenomics is working. When I took office, the pandemic was raging and our economy was reeling. Supply chains are broken, millions of people unemployed, hundreds of thousands of small businesses on the verge of closing after so many had already closed, literally hundreds of thousands on the verge of closing. Today, the U.S. has the highest economic growth rate leading the world economies since the pandemic, the highest in the world.
The president pointed out that some Republican members of Congress love Bidenomics. They just don't want to give the president credit for it.
Well, there's a guy named Tuberville, senator from Alabama, who announced that he strongly opposed the legislation. Now he's hailing its passage. Here's what he said, quote, "It's great to see Alabama receive critical funds to boost ongoing broadband efforts."
Joining us now is Shalanda Young, who holds the powerful cabinet-level position in the Biden administration of Director of the Office of Management and Budget. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Is the president going to be chasing Republicans like Senator Tuberville around the country, trying to get them to admit who has delivered the Bidenomics benefits that they are now praising?
Hi, Lawrence. Thanks for having me. Look, Bidenomics, whatever you want to call it, this president has talked about this since he was a candidate, Biden. I've gotten to put out 3 budgets with this president. Budgets are about values. You know this. So this ethos, Bidenomics, is not new to me because it's been throughout our budgets. Who do you value in this country? Where do you think the source of strength and pride are in this country? It's in the middle class. And that's why you've seen the investments come out of this White House, this administration, focused on the middle class, making sure that we grow from the middle out and the bottom up. It's kind of easy to work for a president when the economic ethos is simple. What can we do to build the middle class? Because trickle down, frankly, has not worked as an economic principle in this country for everyone.
The Biden administration, you took some chances in the economic policies that you advanced because we had never seen the situation that you were facing before, this pandemic and how to recover from a pandemic like this. Congressional Budget Office, of course, makes projections about what your policies will do. What have been some of your surprises, good and bad, and how the policies have turned out?
Workers, workers, workers. I mean, I don't think anyone with a crystal ball in the middle of a hopefully once in a generation pandemic, seeing where our unemployment numbers were, remembering what happened during the financial crisis and the scarring we saw and how long it took for people in the economy to recover. Who would have imagined we see this long of a stretch of unemployment under 4%? I wasn't around in the 60s, but I can tell you I've been here a while, and I've certainly not seen this kind of growth out of a pandemic. I think no one would have thought this would have been possible.
In previous presidential campaigns, certainly in the pre-Trump era, the state of the economy was basically the deciding factor for president's reelection campaigns. The president was given credit, whether deserved or not, for good economic news and bad economic news. What is the message that President Biden is trying to deliver and was trying to deliver in Chicago today, given that inflation is still, although reducing, it's still nagging away at this economy?
Look, I think what you'll see out of the president and Bidenomics as we talk about this, as a reminder, this isn't new. This president has always championed programs in his budgets when he's worked with Republicans on the infrastructure law. This is about what can we do to bring good-paying jobs, union jobs, to folks. College isn't for everybody. Bringing apprenticeships, bringing different opportunities, bringing manufacturing back. Those 13 million jobs added under this president, 800,000 are manufacturing jobs. We're bringing that back. So this is a way to make sure everyone understands all these things matter. And this president, everything we do is about strengthening the middle class, making sure working folks, as he likes to say, just have a little breathing room. And that's what our role is in this administration, and make sure everything we do now that we're implementing these historic laws, that we do it not just to come out of the pandemic, but come out stronger with a more fair economy.
When you talk about breathing room, you were leader of the negotiations with Kevin McCarthy that produced this debt ceiling agreement that gives you breathing room for the rest of the Biden first term of the presidency on the debt ceiling issue. How does that enable you to go forward with other legislative priorities?
So, Lawrence, you know, we have passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the Inflation Reduction Act, which we now are in the midst of implementing. And that is important for the American people. We just made an announcement this week, $42 billion in broadband, meaning we recognize the internet is not an option. To operate in this world, to have kids that go to school and successful, people need internet, affordable internet. And that's what you saw announced out of the administration just this week. So a large part of our focus is going to be implementing those historic laws to make sure the American people feel their government at work for them, and make sure we get these programs right. We haven't done anything like broadband, for example, since we brought electrification to rural communities like the ones I grew up in. So that's just one example of many, many big things we're doing to not just bring infrastructure, but also the people laying those cables. They're getting good-paying jobs, as I said, union jobs. So this has a circular effect. Bring services and also bring back jobs that people can make a living and make sure they can invest in their families.
You are the only member of the administration who has jurisdiction over literally every penny spent by the federal government, and so there's not a single issue that doesn't come your way. What has surprised you? I know you worked on the Hill on the Appropriations Committee for many years, but what has surprised you most about the enormity of this job that you have?
Well, look, as you pointed out, I've done a version of this from the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue. I can tell you Democratic and Republican presidents that I've seen come through this town while I've worked on the Hill. I've not seen this level of legislative achievement in one administration in the first 2 years. So the breadth of implementation to make sure we do the right thing by our veterans and those who have been exposed to toxic exposures, that we implement that law to the greatest effect possible, to make sure that we're picking Army Corps projects that help communities that have been left behind historically, who often flood and they don't see federal resources come to them, to make sure we keep our commitments to Ukraine, because this is about pushing back on Russian aggression. So you're right, it all is interconnected. And this president, more than any, is a reminder when he goes to places like the G7, he reminds you that he's able to do what he's able to do in holding the coalition together because of everything we do domestically. Our economy has to be strong to send a message across the globe that America leads the world in things like manufacturing, clean energy, and all these things are connected. And you're right, from my seat at OMB, I get to be involved in making sure we do everything from implementing our climate agenda to making sure we keep our commitments in Ukraine and push back on Russian aggression.